Welcome to my first vegetable garden. This is my second YouTube channel. This is geared to brand new gardeners. I'm going to teach you today how to build your first 4 foot by 4 foot, 4 feet by 4 feet, no dig raised bed. We're going to plant tomatoes and peppers in there if you want to subscribe and follow me. And I'm going to show you how to do it for under $30. You can even do it more cheaply, almost for free, if you just use the resources from around your space. Let's get started with building your first garden, a 4 foot by 4 foot space. Over time, maybe you need a garden more elaborate, something this size, but we can get started now. The single thing that keeps people from starting to garden is building that first bed. So a tomato and pepper garden built in under probably 60 minutes. Over time, you might expand to a garden about this size. This is a little bit more manageable, but if you're just getting started, it's often overwhelming, and even something like this may seem like too much. And you don't have to spend the money to buy the metal frames, fill the beds. It's really easy just to get started with cardboard, some soil, earth, and grass clippings. The most important thing you can do is just get started. So we're going to start with a simple 4 foot by 4 foot space right here. You want at least 8 hours of sunlight. The southern sun is going to track right where the camera is, and it's going to come down here, and then the western sun is coming from that side. So I'm going to get at least 8 hours of sunlight here for my garden. And the reason I stress getting started is because in this 4 foot by 4 foot space, you can learn all the principles from gardening. Please subscribe. I will show you how to plant into here, how to tend the tomatoes and peppers in here, and I will teach you about vegetable gardening. So a couple of things going on. Any cardboard, we're going to use 1 or 2 layers over the 4 foot by 4 foot space. That will keep the grass and weeds from coming through. We're not going to be able to direct seed, meaning we're not going to be able to put seeds down. We're going to put in tomato transplants, pepper transplants. I'll teach you all about that. This is a way to save time. Come fall, this will all kind of break down and be ready for seed planting. So in the fall, you can plant a cool weather crop garden. With your plants that like the cool weather, they can even take a frost. So cardboard, it can cost you nothing. You can just pick it up from you can use the cardboard that comes to your house, get it from neighbors, whatever you need. You want 2 layers to make a little more than a 4 foot by 4 foot space, because you want to edge out the area so it's easy to trim and manage. Any bag of compost or manure, I'm using leaf grow. That's $6. If you can't afford that, can't find it, don't like it, you can skip that for now. This is just something extra that will help set up the beds. All the nutrients are going to come really from underneath the cardboard. The plant root systems will grow into there. I'll show you how to set up the planting hole. We don't have to overspend in making a perfect soil, 8-12 inches deep with all these things in there. That's nice, but you can get to that over time. So you need everything here except the plastic pot my dogs just chewed up. Weed eater, we're going to trim this down. Best if you have a lawnmower, because I want you to cut out the space as low as you can. Save the grass clippings, because we're going to use the grass clippings as part of a mulching layer to help set this up. All right, one more ingredient that maybe you can find around your house for free. Well, it's also time for spring cleaning, but tucked under here are a bunch of leaves. Earlier I just said ingredients, so it's kind of like, you're putting a recipe together to grow tomato plants or vegetable plants, pepper plants. These are really amendments. So what you're learning today are the principles to really put enough organic matter into your garden bed so that it breaks down over time, it feeds the soil life, then will feed the soil, the plants, and all that. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. So grab some leaves that might be around your property. Maybe you have leaves tucked in a corner of your shed or garage. You can use those. Here's a space cleaned up a little bit. If you have a weed eater, I like to trim the grass down almost to the ground, and I would just do a 4 foot by 4 foot space. The reason you want it to be 4 feet is because your arms are 2 feet. So you'll be able to walk around the square, reach in, tend to it, and you're never going to have to step into it. We're also not digging or turning the soil. If you don't have a weed eater, set that lawnmower on the lowest setting and just cut the grass down. It's all going to work out the same. It's also very windy. You can hear the wind blowing on cue. Hang on a sec, and there goes the cardboard. Wet it down. Just wet it down, it won't blow around. When you set it up onto your 4 foot by 4, when you set it up on your square, 4 feet by 4 feet or similar, just soak it down. All right, and then the grass clippings that I took are right there. We're going to use that for organic matter. What you're going to do to take care of this bed is you're going to use grass clippings. As long as you don't spray chemicals on it, you're going to use leaves, different forms of organic matter. All that stuff breaks down, feeds your plants. Worms will take care of it, soil life will take care of it. So we're getting all the resources from this space. Now, I'm going to put the cardboard down. I'm going to take trimmings from along these beds that have to be cared for. Going to use that earth to put on top of the cardboard. That's free. If you need to, you could buy 4 bags of the cheapest topsoil you can find. We're not planting into that this year, so it can just sit on top and break down. If you got to buy 4 bags, it's going to cost you somewhere, for the cheap topsoil, $3 a bag. You don't need the premium high-end potting mix. We're not going to need to use that for this type of garden. The 4x4 square is set up. This is maybe taking me 10 minutes so far. Now, you're also going to buy any water-soluble organic fertilizer. If you can't find an organic fertilizer, go ahead and buy something like Miracle Grow or a chemical type. If you don't like Miracle Grow, don't buy that product, but a chemical fertilizer is okay. We want to try and stay organic. An organic water-soluble fertilizer is going to feed these plants right away. So when we put in tomatoes and peppers as transplants, we'll give them a big drink that will help them get established. All the grass here is going to stay there. That will break down. This is how you build up a great organic bed. Just layers of organic matter, grass, leaves. So save your grass because you'll use it through the season. Now we're going to put down the cardboard, soak it down. I'll show you the next step. The cardboard is down. You can do 1 layer or 2 layers. Just try and cover the whole space, a little bit beyond maybe your 4 foot by 4 foot space, but nothing has to be perfect. Going to put my $6 bag of leaf mold onto here. So how you're spending your money to kind of total around 25 bucks is the compost, $6. If you use your soil from around your yard, it's going to be free. If not, you have to spend 10, 12 bucks to buy the cheap topsoil. We're going to put that on there. And you're going to need to buy a water-soluble fertilizer. Organic is best. That's going to cost you about 10 bucks. That's all you really need to get started. I'm also going to buy a $3 bag of shredded hardwood mulch. That's going to go on top of the grass clippings. So for 25 bucks, you can get everything you need to have a tomato and pepper garden. I also recommend, if this is your first garden, also to set up a compost pen somewhere in your yard. I will teach you how to do that. That's going to pay dividends going forward, because you won't have to buy any compost or any kind of materials to build new beds or take care of your beds that you create this year. All right, compost is great, but let's get back to taking care of this bed. That's 2 cubic feet of the leaf compost conditioner. Gonna just spread that out, keep it simple. Any brown cardboard works fine. Just peel off any of the plastic tape. About 1/4 inch of the compost spread over there. Now, I would go ahead and I would dig up my soil along here, and I want to put on at least 2-3 inches of earth on top of this. It could be any quality, it could be poor quality, it doesn't matter. Let me show you my compost area and why it's important to start composting, because years down the line, you can have tons of compost. This is what I build my new beds with. This is really the edge trimmings from my landscape beds, just thrown in here over the years, and I just dig it out and I put it into new garden beds. And all you need is a pen. This is probably 4 feet by 4 feet, maybe a little bit bigger. Got it on Amazon, and I just throw stuff in there. This is a perfect way to get started composting. And again, you'll save a lot of money, filled with nutrients, N, P, and K, and it's free. Here's another compost pen set up with a couple T-posts, some wire fencing, and I've been throwing in my leaves, and weeds are actually on top of there. And if you look right on top, that's like shredded hardwood, weeds and stuff that I've been pulling out of the beds where I'm building the garden now. Just start composting when you can and have time. This is what I'm going to use. It's going to save me some money. What we're building now is the future of our garden bed. Because you have grass growing, weeds growing, all kinds of stuff growing, the tomato and pepper plants are going to use what's already in the earth. We're just going to loosen up that planting space. Those plants will be fine. So we're going to put in a wheelbarrow full of earth onto here, see how that looks. And we're building up several inches of the compost, of earth, whatever you have around the yard, grass clippings, leaves. We're just mounding it on top of here. That's the whole idea behind a no-dig garden. Give the worms and the soil what it needs. It decays, it breaks down, our plant roots go into the earth, everybody's happy. So here's the first pile, and maybe I'll stop here because I don't want you to feel like you have to have this, premium wonderful top 4 inches of soil for your garden. Again, I'm going to stress one more time, the plants are going to grow into the earth below there. So let me spread this out, see where we're at. The next layer, leaves. Worms love leaves. They digest them, they excrete worm castings, wonderful for your garden beds. Minerals, trace elements, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium in leaves. Also in your grass clippings. We're just adding the organic matter, as I've been saying. That's going to feed this bed over the years. If you don't have leaves, you can use straw, you can use hay for this layer. At this point, you know, the layer on top of the earth is getting, you know, pretty high. I don't know, maybe that's 2 inches or something. We're going to put grass on here too. You want to put the leaves down and then the grass clippings, because the wind will blow the leaves away. The grass clippings will help mat it down. I like putting the shredded hardwood on at the end. Keeps everything in place. This is pretty much your first garden. 4 feet by 4 feet. When you're putting the grass down, you want to just make sure you really make sure it lands and it's nice and fluffy. You don't want matted grass down because it'll smell. Nice and loose, air flows through there. This will brown out. That's what you want it to do. When this turns brown and it dries and it compacts, we can add another 2 inches of grass on here and really build up the organic matter in this space. So I have one more thing I want to do. I'm going to put the shredded hardwood on here just to keep this down so the wind doesn't blow it away. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. This will work perfectly well. This is 2 cubic feet of shredded hardwood. I like the shredded hardwoods because they're really fine, they're broken up, this decays really quickly. This will give back to your plants over the years. Big wood chips don't really break down, so I don't recommend that. Shredded hardwood, it should just say shredded hardwood. You don't want the colored wood that's kind of red or black or even brown, just plain old natural shredded hardwood. We're just putting enough down to mat the grass down so that it just doesn't blow away. And our bed is set up. When we plant, we're just going to move this stuff out of the way, get down, dig a hole in the cardboard, loosen up the soil. Let me get in the picture in frame. Loosen up the soil to a nice depth, put the plant in, and leave everything around it. It will break down, it will feed that plant. Everything is going to grow out of the earth under the cardboard for this year. You know, maybe an hour at most to cut the grass, get the leaves, do all that kind of stuff. You can have your first bed set up in under an hour, and you can definitely keep it under 25 bucks. You're going to need that water-soluble fertilizer. I'll teach you how to use it. Let me cover the space with the shredded hardwood, and we'll finish up. All right, the bed is done. The hardwood, and today's a really windy day. I apologize for the wind blowing across the camera, but it shows you, or gives you a good example of how this is staying in place even on a windy day. Shredded hardwood keeps, you know, everything from blowing away. If you didn't have that, or you don't want to spend the money, you could put another, you know, ½ an inch of soil on top of here. That will also weigh down the grass, and you could just get that out of your edgings from around your property. This is ready to go. Now, best practice, we'd want to wait about a month for this all to break down and do its thing. The cardboard would start to decay, but you can really plant in this as soon as you want to. Now, I'll be planting in this in about a week. Again, best practice is 3-4 weeks. Let this all kind of settle, break down. Soak it in today, water it down once or twice a week, depending on how much rain you're getting. Moisture is your friend. That's what worms, soil biology, everything loves to kind of really break this down and get it ready for your bed. Because, and I'm just going to end with stressing the same thing, we're not planting into this. This is all to feed nature, to feed the space. We're going to go right into the earth that's already there, and that's how we're going to grow our plants this year. Year after year, this is going to get better and better, and most likely in the fall, not the spring, in the fall, we'll be able to scatter in some seeds here and grow something in here for fall crops. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. I will teach you how to plant into here. We'll do all the steps. We'll do tending, we'll do harvesting, we'll do pest control, all that kind of stuff. Tomatoes and peppers, build this garden in about an hour. Thanks for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com and give gardening a try. I think you'll be successful.